This is Gene Monterastelli, and welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 316, originally aired May 23rd, 2018. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Today, we're going to have a conversation about what you can do when you want something better for someone else and they're not in a situation where they're capable of or choosing to make better choices. Before we do that, just two quick announcements. The first is the tool that I'm going to be teaching you today. At the end of this audio, I'm going to share with you how you can download this process in a printed, written out form, as well as 13 other tools, absolutely free of charge. So make sure you stick around for that. And if you haven't done so already, make sure that you have signed up for our free 10-part guide for using tapping to eliminate self-sabotage. All you need to do is go to tappingqa.com, click on the big blue button. If you happen to be listening to this right now in the website, up on the right-hand side, you can find a blue button there. Click on that, and we will start getting you that guide right away. For me, it can be almost more difficult to watch the people I love suffer than the suffering that I go through myself. Because when I am confronted with something, even when there are lots of things that are out of control, I'm in a situation where I at least have the opportunity to control my action, control my response, tap for my emotions, control the thoughts that I'm having. But when I see someone else, particularly someone I love, going through struggle, I can be in a situation where I am completely helpless, either because of the distance that I'm at, I can't do anything about it, or they are in a situation that they are so deep in the weeds emotionally, it's difficult for them to make good, thoughtful choices to work their way out of it. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to share with you a really simple 8-step process that will make it really easy for you to create a tapping script so you can tap for them. Now, I want to be really clear. This is not about tapping to change someone else. Everybody is responsible for their own choices. We cannot change them. But what we can do by doing this sort of tapping is, one, get ourselves emotionally clear so that we're showing up in a way that we can be the most helpful. Because I know that when I want better for someone else and I'm really emotionally charged about that, I'm desperate, I'm pressing, I don't show up in a way that is most helpful. So if I am emotionally clear when I show up to help you, I'm going to do it in the way that is best possible. The other two consequences of this is I'm going to create space for them to make new choices, and I'm going to create space for them to think about the situation in a different way, because as I clean up myself, I'm cleaning up the part of our relationship that I'm responsible for, which sometimes makes it easier for someone else to make a different choice. But again, even if that doesn't happen, by me showing up more emotionally clear, I'm going to be able to be the best friend, the best family member, the best loved one I can be in helping them to respond to this. So to do this, like I said, it's really simple. It's an 8-step process. I would get out a pen and a piece of paper to write this out. Again, you can get a written form of this, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute. So the first thing that you do is you need to name whose life you want better. I know that seems a little silly, but I find by naming it and really tuning into them, it's really simple. So for me, I write out the phrase, I would like insert name to have a better life and an easier time. Really simple, really straightforward. The second thing that we do is we want to describe in detail the challenges that the other person is facing and how it is hurting them. Now, we may or may not know all of the details. So in this case, we're going to do the best that we can. Again, just start the sentence. The struggle they are facing is, and then just write as much detail as you can, describing that struggle and the place that they are stuck. The third step is about naming the emotions that we are feeling as we see them face this. And the reason we're doing this is, again, one of the primary jobs of this tool is to get ourselves emotionally clear. And oftentimes, we don't have a really clear sense of the actual emotions that we're feeling. Like, I just feel bad. But is it disappointment? Is it overwhelm? Is it helplessness? We might even be angry at the person because we're seeing them make bad choices that they know better and we know better about. So all of the emotions they feel. So this is the sentence we're completing. As I see this happen, I feel. And again, it's probably not one emotion, it's multiple emotions. And so you want to lay them out as clearly as possible. The fourth thing that we're going to name is what we would call the secondary gain of the situation. And what a secondary gain is a benefit that we're getting from taking this action that might not be direct. So, for example, in your own life, if you are having a really rough day and you go home and you eat a whole bunch of ice cream, well, the secondary gain is the ice cream is flooding your body with sugar and chemicals, which is numbing the sensation of the emotion. So as you see them making the choices that they're making, we want to name what that secondary gain is. And again, we don't know what that is. It's going to be a guess. So the phrase that we're completing is, the possible secondary gain that they are receiving from this is, again, it's a guess, but you can probably figure out a reason or reasons why they might be acting in a way that isn't the healthiest. So the fifth thing that we do is we're going to describe what we think is really going on. Oftentimes, because of the emotional state that someone is in or the resistance they're in, they're not able to actually describe the situation as it truly is. And so what we're going to do is we're going to describe what we think is going on. And so the phrase is, what I think is really going on is this. He is drinking himself into oblivion because he's experienced this pain and doesn't want to feel it. Now, it is possible that the secondary gain and what we think is going on is very similar, and it might be different. It might just be this person isn't understanding what's going on, and the reason why they're having so much trouble is they refuse to see the truth about themselves or someone else. But what we're going to do is we're going to describe in detail why we think the problem exists. The sixth step is really pretty straightforward. We're going to describe the outcome that we would like to see for them. We're going to do this in as much detail as possible, just so that we have a really clear sense. And it's nothing more. What I want for them is, and you could describe the nature of the situation. They have a new job. It could be they love themselves more. It's something emotional. But what are you desiring for them? That they see the truth of who they really are and know that they are lovable. So it could be something super practical. It could be something emotional. It could be about how they understand themselves. It could be all three. The seventh thing that I want you to do is I want you to describe the benefits of this outcome. And I always think it is good for us when we're naming a change that we want or a change that we want for someone else is to have a really clear idea of what those benefits are. Because when we have a clear idea of what the benefits are, we have a clear sense of where we're trying to go. You know, I'm not just trying to lose 15 pounds, but the benefit of losing 15 pounds is my lower back doesn't hurt anymore. I sleep better and I wake up with more energy. So we're not just talking about the changes. This is the step where we talk about the consequences of those changes. And so the statement is going to be what they get from making this change is, and again, write all of this stuff out in detail. The eighth step of this is a description of how your life would change and would benefit from this. And I think this is an important thing for us to tune into. That yes, we want better for our loved ones. Yes, we want to see transformation. And at the same time, we are impacted and invested in that transformation. And so it's good for us to acknowledge what we get from this transformation as well. And so we're going to complete the sentence of how I would benefit from their life improving is... And again, talk about the practical, talk about the emotional, talk about identity, any of the pieces of your life that gets better by making this transformation. And the ninth step is to describe the things that you can do right now to help them. Now, as we posited at the beginning, many times we're in a situation where they aren't able to hear us and we're not able to do something about it. But what I found is as you go through the 8 previous steps, you get a little more clarity about what is going on. And in that clarity, you put yourself in a position where it's possible for you to see new actions that you could take. And so the things I can do to help them right now are, and list those out. Now, what you've done by completing these 9 sentences is you've created a really powerful tapping script. So after writing all of this out, now what I want you to do is just read it out loud and tap along to it. Now, it would be possible for you to go through a process like this and just do it out loud. Or read the beginning of the sentence and start tapping and in your mind come up with phrases. That will be helpful, but it takes a really specific sense of focus, concentration, and definition to actually write all of these phrases out. And so you are going to experience something very valuable by taking the time to write it out because it's going to give you clarity. So take the time, write this out. The second benefit of writing all of these processes out and all of these sentences out is, let's say you want to tap on this tomorrow. Well, you've already done the entire process. So you can just pull this sheet out and you can just tap along to it and you're already set to go. So it gives you the ability to come back very easily, spending less time so you can tap for them right away. Again, this isn't a process that's going to force them to act in a new way and you're not actually changing them. But by going through a process like this, we are connected in such a way that by you transforming, you are going to create the space where they are going to have the opportunity to see things in a new way. And because you are emotionally clear, you are going to be able to act in a specific way. If you would like to receive a written version of all of this with those 9 phrases laid out, it's really simple. All you need to do is go to tappingqna.com/anger. This is actually a tool I included in my comprehensive anger management book. Don't let the title fool you. Just because it says it's about anger doesn't actually mean it's about anger. It's about emotional intelligence, but it was designed for people who are specifically dealing with anger. On that page, tappingqna.com/anger, you can download a copy of the book absolutely free of charge. If you do decide to buy a Kindle version of the book or the paperback version of the book, all of the proceeds from that goes to providing copies of that books to inmates all over the world. And if you know someone who is incarcerated and you'd like to get them a physical copy of that book, send me an email, Gene, Gene, at tappingqna.com. We can get it to them most places in the world, and it won't cost you and it won't cost them a thing. Just reach out. We'd love to give anybody you know who's incarcerated a copy of that book absolutely free of charge. If you haven't done so already, make sure you check out the podcast archive going to tappingqnapodcast.com. Between full episodes, bonus episodes, tap-alongs, 2-part episodes, we are up over 375 free pieces of content just waiting for you. Some of the sharpest minds in the tapping world and the transformational world have been interviewed there for you. If there is an issue you are struggling with, we have an audio for it. If you know a guest or a topic you'd like us to cover in the future, let me know. I can always be reached, like I said, at Gene, Gene, at tappingqna.com. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Monterastelli. I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. The Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright Gene Monterastelli, Tapping Q&A 2016. All views expressed by guests are those of the guests and not necessarily of Gene Monterastelli or Tapping Q&A.